NAMM 2012 news brought to you by Groove 3.
Hey, it's Russ here, NAMM 2012. I'm with Mr. Steven Slate, a legend of drum sounds and some fantastic plugins that are doing some cool stuff to give us some analog emulations. But behind us is not a plugin.
It's not a plugin.
Tell us about it. We have a new board.
We do. This is called the Raven X1 production system. And what we did is we built a console that was made for the modern DAW studio. So if you see, when you first sit at the Raven X1, the first thing you see is a mouse, a keyboard, and your display. And it's out of the monitor range, so you have perfect monitoring and you have perfect control over your DAW. So beyond the fact that it obviously has beautiful circuitry that was done by Tim Caswell, the cool features that we have here are, let's say Russ comes up to me, you're my client, you say, hey man, I just recorded some stuff at my home studio and I put it on my iPhone, can I hear it back here? I can take Russ's iPhone and I can put it right into the iPhone dock and route it to the mains. Or Russ can say, hey, I want to kind of jam to this idea I had at home and I put it on my iPhone. I can also route it to the Q section and Russ can jam to some stuff that he did at his home studio. Or Russ can come to me with a USB stick or a USB hard drive and we can plug it right into the top of the console and route it anywhere. The routing flexibility of the Raven is practically limitless. It has a 5.1 section. Obviously it has stereo control and 8 stereo sources, including digital, including the iPod. It has 3 artist Q-Mix sections with a 6-channel mixer on each one. So that means your drummer, your bassist, and your guitarist can all record with their own custom mixes right from the board. Another cool feature, Russ, have you ever listened to some music off of YouTube on a MacBook Pro? I'm sure you have, like most of the world has. But that's an important reference to have in 2012. So if you see here, in our speaker selection, we have 4 speaker selections. The last one here is called Betty. Betty is our built-in OEM'd laptop speakers, so you can do a quick reference on a laptop speaker.
Orotone.
Exactly, it's like the modern Orotone. Other cool features, there's 4 VU meters, 2 stereo sets of VU meters, 2 LEDs. You can control what source is going to them, so you can have, you know, one doing your main mix, one doing your cues. It has auto talkback feature, which means as soon as you press stop on your transport, you're automatically talking to your talent, none of this stuff anymore. Also has an optional remote talkback, so if you're feeling a little bit like you want to walk around the control room, you can always talk back to your talent. And of course, the frame that this is called the X1E, which is the extended frame, and it holds 4 of the industry standard Avid MC mixes. So you have tactile control of any DAW from Pro Tools to Logic to Nuendo.
So can I ask? Obviously, it's a desk for the modern age.
Yes.
What drove you? Obviously, you've been prolific in your output in terms of drum interfaces and drum programs and replacers and stuff like that, and more recently the analog stuff that you've been doing in plugins. What was the spark in your head that thought, I'm going to make a desk?
It's a good question. There's 2 reasons. One is because I'm still a working producer, mixer, audio engineer, and I have a big, large format analog desk.
Yeah.
And it's the most inconvenient thing in my studio. Every day I hate it more. Every day a client comes up to me and says, hey, I've got this thing on my drive and I have to crawl under it to get to my computer. Every time I have to sit there with my keyboard tray, which is to the left of me, and have to mix with my right ear because the monitor and the keyboard are not on the desk. It just started to not make sense. I said, in 2012, why am I using technology that was built in the 1980s? And furthermore than that, as you know, Slate Digital in 2011 created a plugin called the Virtual Console Collection. And what that does is authentically recreates 5 analog consoles. So I no longer needed an analog console for tone, and a lot of my good friends in the business did not need an analog console for tone. Mark Lynette, who will be joining us on Saturday, mixed the Beach Boys through our Virtual Console Collection's Brit and Discrete version, rather than going into a large format desk. So if that tells you anything, it's that people are believing in technology of analog modeling. So given that we didn't need the analog console for tone, we did need it for its tactile control.
Yeah.
So that's why the Raven X1 was born, because here is something that can give us the tactile control, but bring it up to modern times while we can use the VCC, which ships with the Raven X1 for our tone.
Of course, some people are going to say, I want it. They don't. Before we even started this conversation, your name goes ahead of you in so much of what you do, and as soon as you release something, some people just are going to buy it. So let's talk about the basic details. What's it going to be selling for, and when's it going to be out?
You know, the problem with the pricing right now is we've only built 2 prototypes. And by the way, one cool thing about NAMM is so many professionals have come up to us and said, hey, what about this, what about that? And
so this is a proof of concept?
This is a proof of concept, and what we're saying to these people is, yes, that's a great idea. So we're still developing the idea, but more so the fact is that we haven't priced out our build cost in a production run. So, I mean, I could tell you right now a number of how much this prototype costs, and you'll probably faint, but obviously that number will shrink once we buy our components in bulk and build them in bulk, and that price will go down. So I can't give a specific price right now because we are not done. To be honest with you, over the next 30 days, our goal is to finalize this project and figure out the ultimate solution, because what I want this to be is the ultimate solution for the modern DAW recording studio. And I think that it's very close, and I think some of the features we have on it are fitting a lot of these needs, but we are certainly open to hearing what people want and accommodating them.
Well, fantastic. It's a wonderful achievement, and while I've got you here, congratulations on Drums 4.
Thanks so much.
It's obviously, that's another baby of yours. Yes. In a sense, that's where we all know you from. Yes. Your drum sounds are on every hit record we can think of. Talk to us about 4, just very quickly. What can we expect from 4? It's a new interface and everything, isn't it?
Well, again, what I wanted to do with 4 is, one, I wanted to add more drum sounds, because with my previous drums, they'd all been pre-processed, they'd hit analog tape, they'd been EQ'd, compressed, and that was kind of the thing they were known for. But I wanted to then create more drum sounds that were natural, raw, that the engineer could use his own skills, his own processors to further tweak in the mix. So I added a new series of drum samples called the Deluxe Series. Steven Slate Drums 4 has all new Deluxe Series drums, all new Deluxe Series cymbals made by Soul Tone Cymbals, and we have an all new player. And the idea about the player was I wanted a sophisticated, simple, easy to use drum player that does one thing super well, gets you drum sounds, yes, and gets them into your workstation so you can make music. It doesn't try to be a mini DAW, it doesn't try to include... It's not a piano, no. Yeah. This is a drum production studio, and it has over 100 drum kits. I also want to make sure that anyone who, musicians and composers today, the way you have to work is one day you're composing a trailer and you need a jazz kit for a trailer, or the next day you're recording a metal band and you need to make metal sounding drums. The next day you're doing a Beatles project. So I wanted to include as many different genres as I could. So we have over 100 drum presets in SSD4, including a jazz brush kit, including an old Liverpool kit, including tons of metal kits, rock kits, processed kits, unprocessed kits, even 5 dance, urban, and house kits that were designed by producer Griffin Boyce, and they sound amazing. And the feedback on SSD4 has been overwhelmingly positive, and we're just so happy that the first thing people say is, I put these drums in my mix and I'm inspired to make music. And that's really the best thing I can hear out of a virtual instrument, because that's what it's all about in the end, just people hearing something, getting inspired, and making amazing music.
Well, that's great, and I think there's a deal for upgrades and stuff like that, isn't there?
Sure.
For users who want to upgrade. Anyway, great to see you. You're looking great. I don't know how you look so great with the amount of output you're doing, with all your production stuff and all of this stuff you're doing.
It's a deal with the devil, obviously.
I hope
appreciate
not.
that.
I hope not. It's great to see you again.
Good to see you, Russ.
You take care,
Thanks so
Steven.
much.